narrator and host, I guess you would say. I've been doing it for about 10 years and looking forward to another 10.
So, how did you get involved in hip hop? We don't know a lot about each other. I had to do some real preliminary research, listen to a little bit of your music. Like, how did you get involved in the industry?
As far as my start,
Yeah,
or just when I started falling in love with it as a fan.
overall, I just want to know about you.
Okay. Honestly, a long time ago, to make a long story short, a long time ago, I legitimately stumbled upon uh, almost a box full of rhymes from a guy that or girl, I don't remember who it was, but they used to stay in a house before me and my family moved in, and just the way that they wrote their things and all of that kind of put me in the mindset of saying, hey, I could do this. I mean, of course, I was already a fan of hip hop and in love with it, listening to, Wu-Tang and Sean Price and Mobb Deep and all of that really put me in a mindset to really be in love with the culture of hip hop. But somehow, some way, when I found these rhymes, I just really the person was writing it, kind of just the words on the paper really kind of made me feel something. I couldn't tell you what it was, but it made me feel like, yo, I can really do this. So that's kind of how I got into it and kind of how I fell in love with it.
And then for the multifaceted artist, and then I would say, I guess I could use the word mogul that you're working towards. Like, what sort of business challenges do you have in the hip hop community? It's very different than the sort of business maybe that I'm running in some ways, as an educator in the massage community. But
Mm-hmm.
what do you deal with? Because I'm assuming you have to deal with music distribution on some level. You have to
Mm-hmm.
deal with sales, merchandising, in addition to like maybe club owners. What do you deal with?
Um, a lot of ego, a lot of negativity, a lot of crab in the bucket type situations. But I mean, that's just on the negative side. On the positive side, there's a lot of beautiful people that do this thing that we love. This genre of music that we love. Um, it's easy to fall into the negativity that is put into our faces with the media. It's easy to fall into that, but there's a lot of positive. There's a lot of beauty in the actual culture of hip hop. I mean, it doesn't matter where you turn. Everybody uses it to sell their product. And if it was, to me personally, if it was that negative, they wouldn't use it to sell their own products. I think a lot of people just focus on the profane language and some artists that are more vulgar than others to justify a whole
Yeah.
culture. You know what I mean? Um, I believe it was Guns N' Roses, I think, in the 80s that made the very, very controversial song that talked about everybody from gays to blacks to Jewish people. But we can't use that to, you know, dictate what all of rock and roll is, because all of rock and roll isn't that. You know what I mean? And it's the same way with hip hop. Like, you can't just say because you heard this, because you listen to, say, a Brother Lynch song, you can't say all of hip hop is bad when we have the J. Coles and the Kendricks of the world, you know?
Yeah.
Um, Hell, I mean, Will Smith never rapped a lyric anything close to a Twisted Insane or a Brother Lynch song, but it seems to have a negative connotation. You have to take the good with the bad, of course.
Having grown up as a kid in the '80s, hip hop changed, developed, and morphed. I've kind of gone in and out as far as like my interest in hip hop over time for various reasons.
Mm.
And I think talking about hip hop is talking about music, period, especially in the United States. How do you address music in 2020 without discussing the influence that hip hop has had on all music?
You can't.
Yeah.
You really cannot do that. I mean, if that was if that was if that was the case, I mean, there would be no crossover music. There's hip hop in every form of music, literally. Country, it's there. Rock, it's there. Gospel, it's there. Blues, it's there. It's everywhere. You cannot dictate a certain genre of music without saying, yo, hip hop has had its influence. And what's crazy is all of those forms of music, hip hop has roots in that, or hip hop has roots in that, which means um, that's where it comes from. It has a touch of rock and roll. It has a touch of gospel. It has a touch of blues. It has a touch of jazz in it to create what we know as hip hop.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
as of
sorry, go ahead.
and as of 2020, it's come full circle. So now you really can't hear any other genre of music. I don't care if it's EDM or anything else of the sort. You can't have it without hip hop nowadays. You know, it's there. It's there, and it's full of life.
Along with blues and jazz, I think blues and jazz get more um they're more esteemed in some ways. Maybe it's because hip hop is newer, but blues and jazz is like uniquely sort of American creations, like new things that America brought about. I
Mm-hmm.
think hip hop hasn't been around long enough to be able to. Ooh, in other words, we're still in the middle of the transition. Like I don't even understand. Like I said, I don't know what music would be like without its influence. It would be like trying to say, okay, just remove blues from the equation in American music, and it's like I mean, I don't even know what you would do. How could you even describe what it would be?
I'm not sure that I'm not sure that it'll be possible.
Yeah,
I mean, people will find a way. People will find a
sure.
way to exclude. It's always easy to exclude, you know, or attempt to exclude hip hop for being responsible for anything. It's easy to attempt that, but in reality, it has its roots and everything, and it's there. You know, you chop off a tree, the roots are still there, regardless. You got to dig up the whole joint in order to get rid of it. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So it's definitely still there. Definitely.
So when it comes to business, what challenges do you encounter maybe where you're at right now? Do you have challenges and like trying to build the sort of empire that you're dealing with? And what are those main obstacles?
Um, as far as the music or as far as the award show, I mean,
Really both. I'm more interested in you specifically, meaning what is the stuff that you deal with? Because I talk to a lot of massage therapists who are having this come up battle where they're trying to
mm,
figure out how to build their business and they're hitting things that are a problem. So I do a little sort of consulting work with therapists to help them, but I'm really interested in looking at other industries so that people have a better understanding of business generally, of which hip hop in particular is especially interesting to me because of its diversity and because of the way that it just has a get it done nature. Like
mm,
hip hop artists are not only getting it done, they're creating new trends.
that's a fact.
Yeah.
I mean, hip hop is definitely the trendsetter, and we say what is cool, pretty much, you know. Um, but as far as business wise, I think it's the same thing across the board. I don't think there's a separation of, well, you can't do that in this, but you can do it in this. As far as business wise is concerned, you always have to do pretty much the same basis. You have to have a market to sell your product, to deliver your product. You have to have capital to be able to push the product. You have to have a business goal. So, regardless of what business you're in, those three things are definitely going to come in. So, it really, I mean, it's only a few things in the world that came out and just automatically took over and made somebody 10 million off the rip.
Yeah.
White Claw. White Claw was seltzer water, some flavoring, and a little bit of alcohol, and it and it went, skyrocketed and took over by storm. And now the dude or the chick or whoever it was that made White Claw is completely rich. That's once in a blue moon. That doesn't happen to everybody. Like, you have to put in some work. And that's not to say that they didn't put in work, but it seems like overnight White Claw took over.
Yeah.
But in order for most businesses to be able to be something, you have to put in those things. You have to focus on the crowd or the consumer of the product. You have to focus on the business part of it, which is the monies and the funding and the marketing of the actual business. It's no different. Everything ties into one another. I don't care if you're selling remote controls. You got to figure out, okay, look, like, I got a remote control right here. All right, so if I make this remote control right here, how can I make it better to fit in somebody's hand? Because if it fits in their hand better, they might buy it because it's not too bulky. It's sleek. You can talk into it or whatever. Music. All right, how can I take this music and make this music fit somebody's mindset, their personality, their lifestyle, to be able to have them continuously buy this music? It's the same thing across the board.
So let me ask a quick question, and I'm not a musician, not a hip hop guy. Oh, do you make the art that you want to make, or do you make the art that the consumer will purchase, or is it both?
Me personally, I make what I want to make, and if it goes into the the line of the consumer, then great. Um, my music is more so. Let me say, my music is more so for my feeling. It's not necessarily to create capital, because I don't do music to to make it rich, because if so, I'd sound like everybody else on the radio.
Yeah.
But I do have a small fan base that I like to cater to also. You know what I mean? And so to keep that fan base, I know it's certain songs that they want to hear, or certain types of music that they want to hear. So I legitimately try to focus a few songs on that. But for the most part, it's how I feel. It's what I want to come out with. And a lot of times those two things line up hand in hand. But for the most part, I put out what I want. I mean, if I wanted to be structured, I'd look for a major record deal somewhere. But
Yeah.
I'm not really into that.
There are discussions in my community about whether, we just deliver a massage the way the consumer wants, or whether you break out on your own and offer a slightly different service.
Mhm.
And that's an ongoing debate, because I think there's a lot of mediocre hip hop out there. There's a lot of mediocre music out there that's almost formulaic, just like any kind of music, not just
Yeah,
hip
that's
hop,
right.
but it's like, you can deliver a formula because, oh, this is hot right now, this is what people like. But it takes somebody who's an innovator to deliver something new, and then go out and find or create almost a new market. It's like, it makes more sense to me as an artist. I was hoping that you would say that was the case, that you're creating music for you, then you put it out and find your audience.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
not worried that somebody doesn't like it.
You can't. To me personally, man, hip hop especially. I mean, it's a lot of cookie cutter. You know what I mean? I mean, let me find another. Let me find another Lil Uzi Vert. Let me find another uh Triple X. Let me find this. Look, man. Hip hop came out and it stayed in a certain way up until, I'd say, probably 2007, where you couldn't be the same sound as somebody else, really. I mean, it started to change in the 2000s, but it's so much more now that everybody sounds the same than it was at a certain point. And I don't want to sound like one of those, old heads that just be like, oh, well, I remember back in the day. But I mean, at the same time, I do want to sound like that because where's the originality? Where is this person being upset that this person took their whole rhyme style, they flow? Like Drake was sued by Rapping Forte because he took, I think it was 8 bars and rapped it exactly the same way. Probably took 2 different words out and switched them out. And Rapping Forte was like, nah, this is my song. Like, you can't do this, And I think he ended up winning like $250,000 off of that. Like, you got to be original. To me, you got to be original. If I wanted to listen to Future, why would I listen to Designer? Why would I do that? Like, there's no sense.
Yeah, take a quick break.
Hey, y'all, this is Trent Knox, podcast producer for the Robert Gardner Wellness Podcast. I just want to step in here and say hello to all the viewers over there on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Mixer, D Live, VK, Africa TV, Vaughn Live, and of course Twitter. Thank you for tuning in and watching this episode. This is a new format for our episode. We're going to bring on guests from different industries and give them an opportunity to promote themselves to a new market and talk about their industry. So I just wanted to say again, for the massage therapists out there, Robert Gardner Wellness is doing a free trial on his industry-leading Reboot Insiders Club. If you want to get a hold of that, go to rgwellness.store/free trial. That's 400 plus hours of video and accompanying written material. So going on over there to rgwellness.store/free trial and take advantage of that 30-day free trial. Back to Robert and G in the studio.
All right, G, can you introduce yourself again to people who are just joining us?
Yeah, of course. Again, I am G Corbin of the Also Hip Hop Awards, owner, operator, host, all that good stuff.
Nice. So one of the things that came to mind as we were traversing that terrain is there's a core piece in music between blues and between jazz and then in between hip hop that deals with improvisation. So I would argue that jazz is a uniquely American art form. Like part of its core piece is improvisation. That part of what makes it distinct is not just, kind of blue. It's being able to alter solos. It's being able to alter and improvise, preferably live. Hip hop, when it comes to battle rap, things like that, the improvisation of lyricists to be able to do that. When I talk about that within the massage community, I know it seems like they're wildly disparate things. Like this is a massage, this is rap and hip hop. Like how, and it's like the students in class want a sequence. And I keep trying to explain to students, I'm like, listen, you have to develop enough skill to improvise. You cannot perform the exact same massage on every, client. Just like
Yeah.
I don't think you can ever deliver the same rap with the exact same syncopation with the exact same lyrics every time. And in fact, the audience starts to they start to crave the improvisation. They're craving what I think is more authentic and more real.
That's actually a very good way to put it. I mean, even with the massage thing, I mean, you can't look at it like a woman. I mean, if you're gonna make love to a woman, I mean, yeah, the act technically is gonna be the same thing, but you can't. In most cases, you can't go in and absolutely obliterate your wife like you can go and obliterate a prostitute. It's the same act. You're still going to have sex with both. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you can't do this one the way you're going to do this one in most cases. So where this customer may love a deep tissue massage, this customer in the world. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So you have to gauge. It's just like hip hop. It's so many people that really love this new wave. I can't stand the new wave. I really don't. I mean, there's certain people I can get with. I can get with Sauce Walker. I can get with ASAP Ferg and a couple other guys I can get with. But for the most part, I don't. It's really not much talent involved in a lot of that type of hip hop to me. I mean, call it wrong for me to say in the position that I'm in, but I'm not going to sugarcoat anything that I'm saying just for the sake of business, because I feel like at the end of the day, you want to be honest and you want to be straight up. You want to be transparent for whatever it is that you're doing. You know what I'm saying? So I'd be an absolute fool to be like, oh yeah, I love that. I love that music. That music is the greatest thing I've ever heard in my life. And then you ask me, well, what about a song by such and such? And I sit here and I lie my way through it, knowing the whole time I don't even listen to this fool.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna promote anything for the sake of business. My integrity as a man is more important. You know what I'm saying? But most of it, I really can't do. I mean, shout out to those guys. They're doing what they're doing. I mean, I don't ride around listening to Garth Brooks every day. I don't like Garth Brooks music, but I mean, he's doing what he's doing, and he's a legend in his own right to do what he does. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The marketplace is huge. The marketplace is vast. It's very similar. We talked about massage. We talked about, hip hop. It's a little bit like a comic. If a comic is working some sort of corporate gig, the comedian, if they're good, yeah, they might have a little bit of a script, some ideas, stuff they discuss. They retell some of the same jokes, but a good comedian can read the audience and can read the audience response and push the audience up towards the edge, and it's contextual. That's the thing that I think massage therapists don't sometimes understand. I use references in my classes that are very similar to what you did, to sort of shake therapists out of their torpor, because I feel like they're taught this script. And I'm like, okay, for English, we have to use certain words, we have to structure them a certain way, but just changing little pieces of how things is structured changes how people receive it. The word flow within hip hop, just amazing creativity. It's like, Shakespearean poetry, poetry gets, wow, this is amazing. This is intellectual. This is in universities. But when it comes from the street, it's on the same level. And in fact, I think over time, hip hop has had even greater inroads into the larger culture. It's like now you can go to a university and take classes in hip hop. It's had an influence on the overall culture. It's more respected than it used to be, but I enjoy the process of the improvisation, the creation of something new. I'm not extremely well versed on hip hop just because it's so big and broad, but when I see artists pushing it to a new community, when I see people coming out with their own shtick, it's like you said about Garth Brooks. I guess dislike Garth Brooks music, but I'm not a huge fan. But I don't spend time complaining about Garth Brooks. I just go listen to what I enjoy.
Exactly. Listen, man. I think that's really what people need to gravitate towards, because even though I choose my words. Because I almost said something that would have been, it probably would have made a lot of people upset and whatever. But
I think
even
audience is a little bit well trained at this point.
Well, even though there's lesser forms of hip hop, lesser forms of music, in people's perception of that form, there's other forms that you can listen to. So where the big boys are gonna press their agenda and have this, and this on the radio. All right, cool. Y'all do that. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go over here to Spotify. I'm gonna go over here to Tidal. I'm gonna go over here to Apple Music, and I'm gonna listen to this new Joyner Lucas. I'm gonna listen to this new Dave East. I'm gonna listen to this new Griselda, and let that be the reason. Let them over here make all this cookie cutter shit that sounds all the same, but at the same time, I'm gonna come over here and listen to what I want to listen to. Y'all do that, but I'm gonna do this. Like if you can get in my car and you can listen to rock, you can listen to almost anything depending on the time, the time of day, or whatever I'm feeling at the moment. Like people have looked at me like, "What the hell are you listening to?" I listen to almost anything. Like I can literally put in some DMX and then switch over and go straight to some Baltimore club music or the juke music out of Chicago or something like that. I can literally do that, but you won't catch me turning on the radio. Why won't I turn on the radio? Because the radio doesn't play anything I want to hear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even satellite radio at one point, when satellite came out with Sirius Satellite and all that, it was really dope at one point, and then all of a sudden they started falling into the same old thing that they was. So why am I going to pay for Sirius Satellite when they're doing the same exact thing that's on regular radio? Nah.
Yeah.
If you got a podcast or something like that on Sirius Satellite, I'll catch it on YouTube because it'll come out on YouTube. It'll come out on Spotify and all that.
So for people dealing with distribution, because you start talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking to people in the hip hop industry as much. I'm dealing with musicians in other genres,
Mm-hmm.
and I hear a lot of complaining. I can't sell albums, and I'm like, it's not 1972 anymore. You're not Led Zeppelin. The music industry is not the same. Like you can't sell
album sales aren't the same anymore. But the reason why they're not the same anymore is because people started allowing these companies to give them. I'm trying so hard not to curse, but it started allowing people to give them these BS contracts. Yeah. And they started accepting them. And because they can get away with it, they're going to keep on doing it.
Yep.
If everybody to stand and say, no, this ain't right, then it's not right. And people not going to go for it. It's just like when baseball went on strike, when basketball went on strike, it's the same thing. But people think their pockets are going to get touched. So I don't know if you know this, but the streaming is like the lowest form of payment that you can get as an artist. Is actually a slap in the face. Because it equals up to somewhere around 1,500 streams equals one sale. So it's 99 cents for 1,500 streams instead of at one point where you could get an album sale and you would get, I don't know, some artists was getting 50 cents a CD or whatever like that. It's not even close to that anymore. Yeah. At least when you're selling actual albums, if you're getting 50 cents a CD, which is unheard of at one point. Once you get 1 million copies, that's 500,000 or so in your pocket. You know what I'm saying? So roughly.
So if you can't make money off of digital distribution as currently set up with what you're discussing, how do hip hop artists make money?
Tours and merchandise.
Yep.
That's how you have no choice. I mean, let me rephrase that. Well, yeah, in every way possible, tours and merchandise or hand-to-hand sales. People will still buy CDs hand-to-hand. Nobody really goes into CD stores, record store, tape stores anymore. But there's still some around, like Piranha Records here in Austin is still up and running very well as far as I know. But you have to do the legwork. I'd rather anybody be an independent artist than sign a record deal, unless you sign a record deal and you utilize that record deal to gain as many fans as possible, get out of that deal, become a independent artist, and actually hit the block, hit these stores, hit these areas, and sell albums and sell. When you sell them though, like you can sell, like literally, I have stacks of physical CDs sitting right here right now, right? You can sell physical CDs, or because we're moving on in the world, you can sell flash drives. This will get them more than the CDs will. It's a way to do it. You just have to really get out there, hustle and grind, and do what you need to do in order to get it out there,
Yeah. Quick break.
Hey, y'all, it's Trent Knox podcast producer for the Robert Gardner Wellness Podcast. Once again, just wanted to say hello. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, for the Reboot Insiders Club, we're doing a free trial, free 30-day trial for new users. If you go to rgwellness.store/free trial, you can take advantage of that free trial. Over 400 plus hours of video content and accompanying written material. Go on over there to rgwellness.store/free trial and take advantage of that free 30-day trial. Back to Robert and G in the studio.
Hey guys, it's Robert again. I'm here from the Austin Hip Hop Awards. G, can you give them a little bit more information about yourself? That's where they can contact you. Do you have a website or like social media channels they can find you on?
Okay, so as far as the music, Austin, as far as the music, it's George Von Doom on every platform that you can think of. The new single, Death Wish, just was released with, the new single Death Wish was just released with a new group that we came up with. It's called Voltron, VOULTRON. We definitely would love the support. Go to the music streaming services and get all of that stuff out of there. Get all the music from out of there. And as far as the Austin Hip Hop Awards, AustinHipHopAwards.com. Austin Hip Hop Awards on Facebook, Austin Hip Hop Awards on Instagram. And yeah, man.
So, musicians that I talk to, this is what I hear. They complain they can't sell albums. They almost don't want to deal with digital distribution as far as like streaming services because they're like, I don't make any money. And I'm going, listen, both eras, okay? Black blues musicians were completely raked over the coals because music companies control the distribution.
That's a
fact. That doesn't happen anymore. If you're an 18-year-old kid in Baltimore, you can release your music globally now on your laptop in your mom's bedroom. You
Correct.
Can record it, you can process it, you can edit it, you can distribute it globally. Now, I know it's harder to monetize in some ways, but I prefer that the artists, much like other business people, be entrepreneurial and have control of their own art. You don't even have to have a record label anymore. When you talk about people selling merchandise, one of the things that I'm completely confused by, G, are you familiar with Twitch?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so Twitch, a lot of people look at it like it's just a gaming platform. But the platform continues to differentiate and diversify. And I keep trying to explain to these musicians, I'm like, listen, you can have the Friday night pajama party concert every Friday at 9 p.m. for your fans. And you can play a concert with hot cocoa in your pajamas for the people who want to follow you, and they can donate money live. You build a fan base.
That's
you
your
sell
main.
them a t-shirt. You have to connect with people. What I don't understand is, in the absence of the record company, there's no barrier in regards to distribution. You know, it's like Eazy-E was having to sling albums out of the trunk of his car to be able to get music into people's hands. You don't have to do that anymore. So I'm a little confused by the dissonance between the two. So I make like workbooks and DVDs. We distribute these. Some of it's on Amazon. People talk to me about it, and a guy that was helping me get the stuff on Amazon said, wait, but the problem with your stuff is that it's digital. And I said, why is that a problem? And he said, well, people are going to steal it. They're going to upload it to the Pirate Bay. And I was like, and make me the Metallica of body workers? I don't give a shit. If you were broke enough and you couldn't afford my stuff, you can contact me. And basically, I can kick out a coupon code and give you the digital version of what I do for free. And what does it cost me to distribute that?
Nothing.
Exactly. And it's fan base and fan building. When people talk about social media, go ahead.
If you live in a world where you're scared of somebody snatching and pirating your shit, you're really going to live terrified, because before internet got to where it was now, there was this little thing called Napster and BearShare and all that, where people was, and LimeWire, where people was pirating stuff back in the early 2000s and 99 and 98, where it was very simple for people to, at that point in time, to take your stuff. And so what do you think they're going to do now? It doesn't matter if it's digital or if it's on a DVD. People can still find a way. It's going to be a way. If people want to do it, they're going to do it. It's just like everybody screaming for gun control. Okay, cool. You can ban all the guns, but if somebody wants to kill somebody, they're going to kill them. Like, it may change the type of murder that happens, but people are going to do stupid stuff. Drugs been illegal since I can remember. I know they've been illegal since I was born.
Yep.
People find ways to do it and get it.
But we seem to be able to buy them anywhere.
Yeah. It's people. Here's the real kicker. It's people that are locked up right now in prison for drugs.
Yep.
Still doing drugs in jail.
Yep.
So the way that it's going to happen. It's really going to happen. So your best bet is to find a way to not necessarily cope with the situation, but help ease the situation as far as the pirators and stuff like that. I mean, the greatest person in the world to keep people from stealing his shit was Prince. And once he passed away, his music was everywhere. I don't know if people really remember this, but before Prince died, you could not go to YouTube, Spotify, or anything like that and get Prince's music. Yep. It was impossible. You could not do it. He had people that, man, he rest in peace, but he had people that would literally go around and find this music wherever it was online and get that shit taken down as soon as possible. Soon as he passes away, his music is everywhere. Shalimar's music is everywhere. There's another guy, I can't think of his name right now, but Prince owned the rights to his music. His music is everywhere now. It's all big business that does what they want to do, but at the same time, he's the only one that I can really think of whose music wasn't everywhere due to pirating and things like that. I mean, you could probably hit up Pirate Bay or Views or something like that to find his joints, but
yeah,
he's like the GOAT of making people not have his stuff because he don't want nobody to have it.
Yeah,
he's definitely the GOAT of that.
Prince came of age in an era before digital distribution. So some of the artists had challenges with it once they had made it within the traditional industry. Once that barrier of entry started to dissolve, people clamped up. That's where Metallica came out against Napster and that sort of thing. It's like, if the music industry would have been intelligent, they would have created Napster. If the cab companies would have been intelligent, they would have created Uber. If the hotel companies would have been creative, they would have created Airbnb. What I keep doing, much like a low-level hip-hop artist, is I went, wait, hold on. There's no barrier of entry. It doesn't matter if I work out of my garage. Like, I can create and distribute information globally. I've got subscribers in Tokyo. I've never been to Japan. I don't speak Japanese. People can study with me because I'm willing to put out information. To me, it was always about, how do I form a stronger, deeper connection to my specific audience? And I think that is the core in business and in hip hop. It's like, how do you get your fans to be fervent, where it's not that they'll buy a song, it's not that they'll buy an album, it's not that they'll buy a t-shirt, it's that they'll continue to purchase as long as you continue to put things out.
Absolutely. You just got to find the proper lane. If you're not going to do that, if you're only going to complain about the amount of monies that are able to be made through digital distribution, if you're only going to complain about it and not take precaution, then you're fighting an uphill battle. The hill has ice on it. You got on slides instead of ice shoes. And at the top of the mountain, there's fucking avalanches coming down at you. Like, you're not going to win that. Your only way of winning, so to speak, this situation, pardon me, is literally seeing what the issue is. Either A, everybody's saying, and you know what you got to hit the road, you got to tour, you got to come up with ways to gather more fans. You have no choice but to do that. If not, you're fighting the uphill battle, like I just said. You know what I mean?
Well, it's
There's
just,
no way to win that.
you need mass exposure. The distribution issue is solved. The internet completely changed that. It's more about connection, maintaining the fans you have, and continuing to build an audience. My answer across businesses is usually going to go back to some form of social media. People don't
Mhm.
understand. They're like, why is Robert doing some podcast with a guy who deals with hip hop in Austin? They don't really understand the sort of networking that goes on from industry to industry with other educators, business people when it comes to brand building. And when I
Mhm.
talk about brand building, I mean personal brand building. Prince,
Yeah,
brand.
Prince
Michael
is
Jordan
definitely is a
has a
brand.
brand. Like there's a shtick there. There's a brand that person is built, especially in the music industry, where there's something personalized. You want to hear the next track by a certain artist because you want to be a part of their journey as their music continues to change and evolve.
Mhm.
That sort of connection with the fan base and creating a situation where you can monetize the fan base through beer koozies, t-shirts.
Yeah.
I talk about frisbees, bongs, whatever it is people will buy,
Mhm.
because you're trying to build a fan base. If you can get the early adopters, if you can get the 5%, 10% fan base that you need, the early adopters will share the music and spread it out. If anything, I'm often jealous of my musician friends because the difference is, for me, it's harder to pull on heartstrings. Music sways people emotionally, not
Facts.
not just logically and rationally, but emotionally. The challenge I have is, how do I do that with massage and bodywork videos? And that's
Right.
like, part of this thing, we're like hiring videographers to like focus on craft and sort of storytelling. But at the same time, it's like there's not a lot of avenues currently in my specific industry. Like if you start talking to a massage therapist about retail is almost non-existent for independent massage therapists. They don't sell stuff to their clients other than the service. So it'd be like you having a hip hop show, but you don't have an album and you don't have a
Yeah.
t-shirt and you don't have the other things to try to monetize the audience around the
Yeah.
experience that you're
Because
creating as an artist.
then you go and you do these performances, but why are you performing if you don't have anything to, you're showing up to show. I tell people that even if they're doing local shows, like, yeah, you came to perform, but once you get off stage, you get off and you leave. Why? It's still people in the building. I don't care if it's one album or one shirt or whatever. You can still possibly, get off that product to somebody. I mean, for you to come to perform and not have anything to deliver to give or anything like that, it's kind of pointless. It ain't no kinda in it. It's really pointless. It's wholeheartedly pointless for somebody to come and perform without merchandise or something. Um, at the very least, to come and perform without differentiating yourself from whoever else is on stage. At the very least, before we even get into the product, you know what I mean?
Social media, and my first thought is, I go to one of your shows. Here's how I approach it as a fan, as another entrepreneur. I immediately take out my phone and go, okay, what kind of photos can I take to post across my platforms?
Hmm.
What snippets of audio or video can I take to post across my platforms? I'm tagging you in the Instagram posts. And the reason that I'm doing that is not just to promote your music. It's networking and creating a digital footprint across industries and across entrepreneurs. It's trying to give my fans exposure to the things that I enjoy and that I'm interested in. And I understand what it means to small business people. What I can't quite get is when people go, "Oh wait, you got to put the phone away. You got to put the phone away." And I'm like, "Man, this isn't a phone. It's a it's a small personal computer that allows me to promote a person's business nearly globally."
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's I guess you would say our generation. I think a lot of us are unaware of just how popular, how important, how strong social media and phones actually are towards your career. I mean, I think you still have to, grassroot it and definitely, meet people, talk directly to people. Hand in hand is always best, but you can't get up and go to New York every day. You know what I mean? You can't get up and go to Japan every day. So you have to find ways to extend to that market. And that way for you to extend to that market is right in the palm of your hand. Um, you just can't sit back and I'm just not a fan of sitting back and complaining. I mean, I talk crap about the new age music all the time. I really do. I mean, I can't say I don't, but at the same time, I listen to some of it to at least give it a chance. I don't want to be one of the ones that be like, yo, I don't listen to it, so I'm not gonna even try. Certain things, like I'm not a fan of Drake either. Like, but I've listened to multiple Drake albums to actually be able to say, look, I'm not a fan of it. I listen to Scorpion. I listen to, well, not all Scorpion, but I listen to If You're Reading This, You're Too Late, Too Late, and Take Care. And it's the same for me. Is he the biggest hip hop artist in the world right now? Of course. I can't take nothing from him. But is it for me? No. And people, instead of giving it a chance and then being like, nah, it's not for me, they automatically jump to, oh, no, they ain't. Give it a chance. It's like a 7-year-old with food. They look at it and they don't recognize it. They don't like how it looks, or it doesn't smell like chicken nuggets from McDonald's or whatever the hell, and they're just, yeah, no, I don't want it. I don't like it. You ain't even tasted it yet. How you know you don't like it? You know what I mean? Like, at the very least, I can say that I give a lot of this shit a chance before I even decide to jump on board with something else. You have to do that though. Like, I think it's disrespectful to the person to not even try to give it a chance. Like, you got to, especially as an artist. I would feel offended as hell if somebody was, just tell me they don't like my music. Ain't even ever heard it before. At least give it a quick spin.
There's only so much time in the day, and we'll take a quick break.
Hey y'all, it's Trent Knox again, podcast producer for the Robert Gardner Wellness Podcast. This is the last break of the episode. Say hello to everybody again, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Mixer, DLive, and everyone else out there, Twitter. Once again, we have a free trial going on for the Reboot Insiders Club. If you go to rgwellness.store/free trial, you can take advantage of that free 30-day trial, 400 plus hours of video content plus accompanying written material. So go over there and check that out. Again, it's rgwellness.store/free trial. Back to G and Robert in the studio.
Hey guys, it's Robert again. I'm here with G. G, can you give them information about where they can contact you again, particularly like a website or your social media shares?
Absolutely. Everything is Austin Hip Hop Awards. The website is austinhiphopawards.com. We can be directly contacted on there. definitely send us a message if you have any questions, any suggestions, if any input, anything. Just get at us at AustinHipHopAwards.com. We're also on Instagram and Facebook, both under Austin Hip Hop Awards. Excuse me. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, all of the music under Fondue, everything, literally everything, except for the everything is under Voltron, VOULTRO.
What I was saying about there only being so much time in the day is I find it very difficult in 2020 to understand people using the power of social media, using a small digital device that allows you global access to information, and to spend their time bitching. Like to find music in 1980, you had to know somebody and find an album, or I guess CDs were later, like 85, a little bit later than that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you had to find someone. Now you could go to YouTube and just type it in.
Yeah,
But when you give people more access via that phone, there's more complaints than ever. It's like, just go listen to what you like. Go support what you like, and don't even concern yourself with the rest. Like, the world is a really, really big place.
I mean, what people fail to realize with that being said, is people in this world that don't know who Jay-Z is. Never heard of Jay-Z. Never been in a situation to where they've seen Jay-Z. I say that to say this. It's always something new to discover. So while it may be new, I say something new, it could be something old. I remember South by Southwest. I'm downtown. It was me, my girlfriend. We was meeting with somebody, and there was maybe 7 Asian chicks walking down the street, and nobody recognized who the hell they was. And then all of a sudden, everybody recognized who they was. I, to this day, couldn't tell you who the hell they were. But all I know is when everybody recognized who they were, it was a big crowd. The girls looked at each other, and then they started doing whatever it is they're known for. All I know is there was some big K star. So when people recognized who they were, it became a big crowd of nothing but Caucasian and Asian folks in one spot. The Black people, Hispanics, was just still walking.
Yeah.
They didn't know who they were. Apparently, somebody told me who, or I Googled who they were by the logo on there and the names. Like, one of their videos had 100 million views. I say all that to say this is actually a true story. This really happened. I say all that to say this. It's always somebody that you don't know that's doing something somewhere that you'll actually end up liking. You can't dictate what's going on with all of music just off of what's going on radio. I mean, like I said, if you don't like what's going on the radio, you don't like what's going on with this and that, don't even listen to that. Like, you can leave that over there. Let me sit over here and get my Spotify playlist together. I literally have sitting on my desk right now. All of this is CDs, music. Like, that's just one stack. Here go another stack. I got CDs everywhere because I listen to what I want to listen to. There's always something that's discoverable somewhere. I don't care how many views you see it on. Tell somebody about Markiplier right now. Markiplier is one of the most followed YouTubers, on the planet. But it's people that don't know who he is. Find music, find things for you to be able to do instead of just listening to what they're telling you got to listen to because that's what's popular. I think with the award show, I kind of show that because I'll put together the performers for the show, and the performers that are on the show, people seem to always ask, well, I've never even heard of this person, but that's fine. I've heard of them and I know they're dope. Watch how this show goes. and it always gets these people new fans or new people that listen to their music or somewhere around those lines. And that's pretty much my point, man. There's always something else to listen to besides what the big business is telling you what you have to listen to. You know what
Hip
I'm
hop
saying?
hip hop being progressive as a business form, one of the things I noticed, like I was listening to your album, the one that Trent linked me to, and then it was you, and then it was featuring this artist on a couple of tracks. And then
Mm-hmm.
you go, okay, so I develop an association with you, G, and then it's like, well, who's this other person? And then the thing is,
Mm-hmm.
massage therapists and then massage educators, they're so worried about competition that they don't want to talk about anybody else. It's like, no, it's just me. And it's like hip hop, like Snoop Dogg, especially, it's like he doesn't feel diminished because he does a track with Lil Dicky. Like
Yeah,
it's just cross promotion across audiences.
I'm a
It's
huge fan of Dickie, by the way.
yeah, yeah. It's interesting to me that I think my industry, because it's brick and mortar. My
Mhm.
industry is evolved with touch, meaning you got to be able to press the flesh to work on people in the massage industry. I think that's what's holding it back in some ways. Whereas hip hop, as maybe its roots in New York was, you had to be at the club, you couldn't even record it necessarily. But I
Mhm.
think it's become increasingly digitally friendly, distribution friendly,
Mhm.
cross promotion friendly, to where it's actually that's how they're creating business. I mean, I
Mhm.
just can't think of another industry. It just, as far as urban entrepreneurship is concerned, it's the template. When I see a
Yeah.
hip hop artist in a video and they're featuring Fubu jeans and they're featuring the Cristal or whatever champagne they're drinking,
Mhm.
they're getting sponsorships from those brands. There's very little, not a lot, but there's very little of that going on in my industry specifically. There are tons of ways to
Mhm.
monetize things if people are creative. And I think also, at least in my industry, as far as they're concerned, it's looking at other industries and how they're doing business. My
Right.
industry specifically, they're failing to adapt and evolve rapidly. And I'm very afraid that it's going to be eaten by other industries. So,
Okay.
G, we're getting towards the end here. Do you have any final words? Anything that you'd like the audience to know?
Um. Well, to before I do that, if I could touch on that real quick, I think if it would be smarter if more people as massage therapists or whatever to actually join together and pretty much do the same thing in business, like create a business to where there's a network of therapists to get that done. You know what I'm saying? I think that'll definitely help everybody. But
Yeah.
yeah, as far as I'm concerned, man, we are just trying to do everything it is that we can to uplift and forward the progress of the hip hop scene here in Austin. I hate the word local, but forward the hip hop scene here. Do more charity work, get more gifts and food out to people that need it because we still do that. And we're trying to show that we can do this without all of the negative connotation that is hooked on to hip hop here in the city and well abroad. What's hooked on to hip hop abroad? So anything that we can do to forward progress these guys and girls to uh, whether it's charity work or whatever, we're 100% for it and we're behind it. So if you guys ever need anything as far as that's concerned, just let us know and we'll jump on AustinHipHopAwards.com.
Sure. So, G, listen, in the future, if you need anything from me, if you think I can help with anything business wise or whatever, please reach out. It was really great to have you on the podcast. I'd love to have you on again in the future so we can go into a little bit more depth and detail. But
Mhm.
you really confirmed a lot of what I think needs to happen with our podcast and reaching out to other industries. I have more business acumen with other industries than I do within my own. because I'm kind of pushing the edges of distribution and how I'm audience building in an industry that isn't quite familiar with it. It's almost taking like a piece of this hip hop exposure social media model and applying it in an industry that isn't familiar with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that, man. But as far as needing anything, I'll definitely do that if anything comes up.
Cool.
I'll definitely be in contact. I have the information and all of that, and then we can go from there.
Cool.
Uh,
So yeah, just we'll talk with Trent, try to figure out a time we can get you on again.
Absolutely, that's not a problem. You guys have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.